In California, cars, you grow up with them. We used to watch the older people do burnouts. We wanted our driver's license. It was a way of freedom. My generation liked the faster cars. Just, there was something about them that intrigues you, stays with you. From '64, I ordered a Plymouth Fury 426 Hemi, and I drove that car until I went in the Marine Corps in '66. In Vietnam, I was in Da Nang in Chu Lai. I came home on boot camp leave, and I had to sell it because the fuel bill back then was roughly $120 a month, and my salary in the service was $90 a month, so I had a deficit before I even got paid. And I bought a '66 VW Bug, and to this day I still own that car. In 2013, I was ending my career, and I knew I wanted to retire in 2017. And you need something, a hobby to do. So my goal was to go to car shows. And here in California, we have a lot of car shows. So at the time I had an '87 El Camino. I traded for the orange rod. It had a ZZ4 from the factory GMC. Engine in there with a 4-barrel. It was okay. Then one day, driving on down to Cruising for the Cure in Orange County Fairgrounds, I saw a truck pass me, and it was Chris Brauns' automotive shop in Lomita. So I looked him up there at the show, told me to bring the car in, and ever since we've been doing business at Chris's shop.
I met Ed and Nancy at a car show about 8 to 10 years ago. We hit it off really well. They were an easygoing couple, and they were looking for some advice, looking for some good information. And right after the car show, they showed up at our shop, and we started on Ed Chevelle. Initially, we did some minor things, but as Ed got to know us, the degree of work involved on it evolved from repairing things to undergoing a major restoration. And then we drafted a plan for him. And with Ed, the only thing that he wanted was a big block Hilborn injection like he was familiar with in the old days. And that was good for that car because it's too easy to put an LS engine in these things and call it a day. Doing something retro was intriguing to me, and we had the okay from Ed to do the things that I thought were necessary without constraints, to within reason financially, to get it where it needs to be. And those are the kinds of jobs that allow for great creativity in my shop with my guys. And so we took off. And it's about a 3-year project. We got a Crate 572 engine, 620 horsepower. We went through the engine to make sure it was right. We ordered out some Hilborn stacked electronic injection. We machined some billet stacked injection tubes for it that fit underneath the hood. We did the frame in custom global suspension. We put a 4L80E transmission behind it. Of course, he wanted air conditioning. He wanted a basic sound system. We took the body off, and we sent the car out to Showtime Paint for blocking and a high-class single-stage paint job. Nothing trick, something that can be painted if it got scratched. When it came to the interior, we sent the car over to Fast Ed's Upholstery in Gardena, and they decided on light brown tan interior, which was really a good pick for the exterior orange. There's not too many colors that will go with that. And they picked out some Italian leather, and they picked out some Naugahyde headliner, and Ed did a sitting for the seats. And then there's some stainless steel rings in it and some detail that showcase Ed's work. And of course, this all takes time. and then we get the task of putting it back together without scratching the car and ruining it. When we do a swap like this, like any swaps, they require a custom aluminum radiator. We use Mattsons radiator. It has a serpentine belt system that has to be machined properly. We used an electric master cylinder so that we didn't have a big brake booster or hydro boost lines clogging up the fender wells. We wanted a clean look on the fender wells. They were matte black finish, no wiring, no hoses, you know, the typical custom look that we would do on a car of this magnitude and quality. This is all about subtlety, matte finishes and the correct colors to make it all blend together. Tuning on an EFI of this magnitude requires a sophisticated software. It's just not an entry-level fuel injection. So we went to the Dominator, and this is not our first rodeo on these things. So we sit there and calibrate it before we go on the dyno. And we go through the whole routine. We do cold start, warm up, hot start, warm up. We go through cold start enrichment. All these things are software calibrations that you have to do on these kinds of engines with these kinds of fuel injection. They're big, they're sophisticated, they require a lot of intricate calibrations in timing, fuel, detonation, drivability under all conditions. So then we make 2-3 dozen passes to get the air-fuel ratio right so that we're good at calibration on the dyno. And then we do real-world tuning where we go from stoplight to stoplight. We'll get on it just off the line and you know, fry the tires and see how she responds and how it shifts out, so we can program the computer and the transmission to have perfect shift points at all RPMs and drivability conditions. So we actually have two computers working, one for the transmission, one for the fuel injection. And they all have to work together. So that's sometimes it requires two people driving under lots of different conditions to get it right. And with stacked fuel injection, there's 8 butterflies. They tend to get out of calibration after a while. Got to go back in there after they settle in, retune it again on cold start. After that, it pretty much runs itself. So finally, after I got it road tested with my tuner and we got things right, it was time for Ed to drive the car.
So I went down to a shop in Lomita, picked up the car.
So we took it on a gentle drive, got used to the transmission shift points, the drivability.
We got in and went up to Western and PV Drive, the light. It was Sunday morning, early, 6:30, 6:45, luckily.
And then we get out on an open stretch and I said, okay, it's all yours, Ed, take it and hit it and see how it goes. And
so I just jumped on it.
I thought I had an understanding of how well he would handle it, but he hit it and
I put the pedal to the metal.
So the tires lit up and we went sideways a little bit, and then I thought he was going to let off on it, but he didn't. And so we spun it 180, and I kept telling Ed, let off, and finally he did. But we did a full 360, and we went over a center divider, a small one, and we went into the opposite 4-lane highway, and fortunately there was no one coming our way. It was early in the morning, and we were facing the traffic as it was heading towards us. So we collected our thoughts, and he says, wow, that was something.
And after we checked our shorts to make sure everything was okay, he said, get it back to the shop. So we went back to the shop and checked out the car.
I looked around, not a bit of damage, nothing got hit. Surprised me. So then we turned around and we went back the same way, and we looked at his burnout marks, and I said, well, I might as well hit it again, just be careful. And he did, and it ran great.
Of course, there was a good laugh at the shop, but that was an eye-opener for the amount of power that was under that hood.
And so that was Mr. Toad's wild ride for Ed and me, and we still talk about it.
The first time out at the Grand Nationals in Pomona, the car took first place in its class. So we started the year out right. I was hoping to win a trophy, something, and to win at the Grand Nationals. I thought it was great for the shop, and I enjoyed it.
For that show, for that year, we were the best, and we're we're very proud of the car, and we continue to have a good relationship with Ed and Nancy.
Car show's a lot of fun. I go a lot with the shop, and most of the time when we go to a event, car wins something. Once in a while, it's second place, but I've been real fortunate with the Orange Rod coming in first.
It is a great family to do business with, and we're proud to have them as customers.
Chris and I, we get along good together. We're a good friend. We go to dinner, the wives and us, and we go to lunch usually once a week. Chris is like I am, a no nonsense type of individual, and you know, you go in there and you can't bullshit him. He's done it all. He's worked on the cars himself physically, turned the wrenches on them, and he's willing to jump in and help his crew now.
Customers like him, those are the kind of customers that you want, and it works well for us.
I got a good part first here.